I used to think my problem was the clock, that I needed 30-hour days to succeed. But the embarrassing truth, I had plenty of time. I was just stealing it from myself. If you feel like you're drowning, you don't have a time problem. You have a priority problem disguised as a time problem, and I'll show you the 5-hour mistake that changed everything. I used to wake up every single day convinced I needed more hours. Seriously. I thought if I just had a couple extra hours in the day, maybe a 26 or 28-hour clock, then, and only then, could I finally get everything done. Then I could work on my passion projects. Then my life would magically stop feeling like a never-ending sprint where I was always losing ground. The mantra was always the same. I don't have time. I'd complain to my friends, my partner, even my poor dog. I'm swamped. I'd grown. I'm drowning. The successful people? They must have some secret bonus hour I don't know about. This was my absolute, unshakable belief, and it was the perfect excuse. As long as I believed the problem was the clock itself. The immutable, universal 24 hours. I never had to change anything about how I was living. I was a victim of time, and that felt safe. But here's the embarrassing truth, and I'm telling you this because it was the moment the ground shifted beneath my feet. I had plenty of time. I was just using it like an absolute. Well, you get the idea. And the day I realized this, the day I actually understood what was happening, was the day everything changed. The truth didn't come to me in a flash of divine inspiration while meditating on a mountaintop. It came to me while I was complaining. I was whining to my friend. The kind of person who was just a little too organized for his own good, about how busy I was. I just don't have time, man. I need like 30-hour days to catch up. I lamented, stirring my coffee dramatically. He looked at me with this gentle, but knowing smirk and asked the simplest question. How many hours did you spend on your phone yesterday? I laughed it off. I don't know, maybe like an hour or so? 2, max. I'm not glued to it. He didn't say another word. He just pulled out his phone, opened his screen time app, and pushed it across the table for me to check mine. My heart rate picked up a little, but I figured I'd be proven right. I mean, I knew I was busy doing important things, right? I checked the number. It was 5 hours. I spent 5 hours on my phone the previous day. 5 hours of mindless scrolling, watching random videos, reading stuff I forgot the moment I closed the app, playing games I didn't even like. I sat there staring at that number, 5 full hours, and it felt like I'd just been caught red-handed. Like I was stealing from someone, only the person I was stealing from was me. That was the moment it clicked. I was essentially mugging myself for 5 hours a day, and then turning around and complaining that I was broke. I didn't have a time problem. I had a priority problem disguised as a time problem. Think about it. 5 hours. If a high-paying client suddenly dropped a project worth 5 hours of work every single day, I would move mountains to fit it in. If my favorite band had a 5-hour concert, I would find a way to clear my evening. We find time for what we truly prioritize. Here's the thing nobody wants to hear, but it needs to be said. You have the same 24 hours in a day as everyone else who is successful. The greatest entrepreneurs, the most prolific artists, the people who seem to manage a dozen plates spinning at once. They are not getting bonus time. They don't have a secret 25th hour they can access. They just use their time fundamentally differently. And the difference isn't that they're automatically more disciplined or naturally more motivated. The difference is their mindset about what time actually is, most of us. And I was definitely in this camp. Think about time like it's this thing that simply happens to us. We say, I don't have time, as if time is something outside of our control, like the weather or the tides. But that passive victim mentality is the garbage that keeps you perpetually stuck, feeling rushed and overwhelmed. The real mindset, the one that changes everything, is this. Time isn't something you have, it's something you make. You don't find time to write your book or start that business or spend quality time with your family. You don't have time. You create time by consciously choosing what to do and, more importantly, what not to do. My 5-hour revelation wasn't just about my phone. It was the key to seeing all the other little thieves lurking in my day, the endless email checking, the shows I didn't care about, the conversations that went nowhere. The great time theft wasn't external. It was internal. I was the thief, and I was the victim, and stopping that cycle was the only way to finally get ahead. So we've established the painful truth. I wasn't a victim of the clock. I was a perpetrator of my own time theft. I had 5 hours. A ridiculous, embarrassing 5 hours to reclaim. But if the problem isn't the number of hours in the day, what is it? For years, I believed that highly successful, productive people were simply built differently. They were the disciplined ones. They were the ones with the superhuman motivation that allowed them to leap out of bed at 5 a.m. and attack the day while the rest of us were still hitting the snooze button. I subscribed to the 24-hour myth. The idea that some people were simply born with the ability to manage time perfectly, and if I just tried harder, I could unlock their secret. But that's a lie. It's a beautifully packaged lie that lets us off the hook. Because if success requires a superhuman level of discipline that I simply don't possess, then I don't have to try, right? It's just my nature. The real difference. The one that will change your output more than any to-do list app. Isn't in their discipline, it's in their mindset. It's a fundamental shift in how they view the resource we call time. Think about how most of us talk about time. We use passive language. I ran out of time. Time got away from me. I have to find the time. All of these phrases imply that time is an external, uncontrollable force, like the wind or gravity. We are merely bystanders, hoping that a little bit of it might drift our way. This is the stuck mindset, the one that keeps you waiting. When you believe, I don't have time, you are essentially saying that you are powerless to create it. You are waiting for the universe to grant you a gift. That gift, as we know, never arrives. Successful people, however, operate from the creating mindset. They don't wait for time. They treat it as a finite, personal commodity. Their language is different. I made time for that. I chose to spend 2 hours on this project. I prioritize that over the lesser task. The difference is subtle, but it's everything. Time isn't something you have. It's something you make by choosing what not to do. You don't find time. You create time by establishing a boundary and saying no to the 100 other things that will happily fill the vacuum. After the screen time shock, I was ready to test this new idea. If the problem wasn't a lack of hours, but a lack of intentionality, I needed to see exactly where my time was vanishing. I decided to try something radical. For 1 week, I tracked everything. And I mean everything. I tracked working, eating, scrolling, watching TV, talking to people, staring at the ceiling, and wondering why my life felt like a mess. Every single activity down to 15-minute increments. I wasn't judging it, I was just observing it. I was collecting data on the thief. When the week was over and I looked at the log, I wanted to cry. I had spent hours. Literal, precious hours. On stuff that didn't matter at all. Stuff I wouldn't even remember a week later. I spent over an hour every single morning just waking up, scrolling through my phone in bed. Not working, not learning, not even thinking. Just existing in a state of semi-conscious, low-value consumption. That's 7 hours a week. That's almost a full workday, dedicated solely to scrolling in bed. I found hours watching TV shows I didn't even like just because they were on, or because I felt obligated to finish the season. Hours spent refreshing social media, like something life-changing was going to suddenly appear if I just checked one more time. And then there were the hours where I was supposedly too busy, but was actually just procrastinating with extra steps. I need to check my email first before starting the big project. Let me just organize my desk perfectly. I should probably plan this out more before I start. All of this was just fancy, sanitized avoidance. It was the illusion of productivity that allowed me to feel busy while I was really just avoiding the actual difficult work that would move my life forward. The tracking experiment didn't give me more time, but it gave me something far more valuable. Clarity. It showed me that I wasn't too busy. I was just full of garbage. And once I had that clarity, I could stop believing the myth and start treating my time like the priceless, limited resource it is. The question then became, how do I stop just observing the theft and start protecting the vault? If you felt that punch to the gut when I talked about realizing you're full of garbage, you are not alone. Seeing where your time really goes is the first step, but what's the next 30 days look like? How do you take that clarity and turn it into permanent change? I want to help you make that crucial shift. That's why I created the ebook, 30 Days to a Better You. This isn't just theory. It's a focused, day-by-day plan designed to help you stop being a victim of your calendar and start building time for the life you actually want. Inside, you'll find the exact templates and daily exercises to apply the time is currency rule, schedule your priorities, and end your time theft cycle in just 1 month. Stop waiting for time to magically appear. Take the first step today. Grab your copy of 30 Days to a Better You using the link below, and let's start making your time matter. The realization that I was the one making, or failing to make. My time was huge. I knew I had been the thief. I knew I was full of garbage. But how do you actually stop the theft? How do you create an anti-theft system for your precious hours? I needed a system, but more than that, I needed a mantra. a way to instantly evaluate every demand on my schedule and decide if it deserved a piece of my life. I found the answer in a comparison that is so simple, it feels like cheating. I decided to treat my time like money. Think about your money. When someone asks to borrow money from you, you don't just hand it over, right? You pause. You think about it. You ask, what is this for? Is this person reliable? Is this purchase worth the cost? You are a gatekeeper of your financial resources. You have checks and balances. But with time, what do? We just hand it out to anyone and anything that asks. TV show that's just okay? Sure, take 2 hours. Social media app designed by hundreds of psychologists to be maximally addictive. Here's my entire evening. Random person asking for just 5 minutes that turns into 30. Take it? I've got nothing better to do. Apparently, I did have nothing better to do. That was the core of my problem. I was giving away the most valuable thing I owned. My time. To the lowest bidder, often for free. The mindset shift is simple, brutal, and utterly transformative. Every time something asks for your time, treat it like it's asking for cash. Would you pay for this? Is this worth the cost? Let's apply this to the time thieves I uncovered before. Would I pay money to scroll through social media for an hour? Absolutely not. I'd be paying money for a momentary distraction followed by a sense of vague emptiness. Would I pay money to watch this mediocre TV show I'm not even enjoying? Definitely not. I'd rather put that cash towards something I actually want. Would I pay money to have this pointless, rambling conversation that goes nowhere? Nope. If the answer is no to paying with money, why was I paying with my time, which is a resource infinitely more valuable than money? Money can be earned back. Time cannot. I quickly realized the money analogy was helpful, but it wasn't strong enough. It needed more emotional weight. It needed a final non-negotiable anchor. So I elevated the question from is this worth the money to is this worth my life? Because that is what time is. It is not just an abstract concept, it is your life. When you spend an hour on something, you are not spending time. You are spending a piece of your existence that you can never under any circumstances get back. That hour is gone forever. It is the ultimate non-renewable resource. This question is brutal, but it's necessary. It forces you to face reality and assign genuine value to your choices. Is scrolling mindlessly through social media worth an hour of my life? Is this mediocre show worth 3 hours of my existence? Is saying yes to this thing I don't want to do, this obligation that makes me resentful, worth my entire Saturday morning? Most of the stuff we do every day is, frankly, not worth our lives. We do it because it's easy, it's automatic, or it's a distraction from the things that are genuinely hard. But once you start asking this question consistently, everything changes. You stop seeing your schedule as a thing to be filled, and you start seeing it as a safe to be protected. You start protecting your time like it is the most valuable asset you own, because it is. You become fiercely protective, not rude, but clear. Suddenly, saying no isn't about being difficult. It's about being a responsible, financially, or temporally savvy adult. This mindset shift, from time being a current you drift in to time being a currency you spend on your life, is the foundation for the next step, taking control of the calendar itself. You now have the right weapon to fight the garbage. Now you need the map to the treasure. I had done the hard emotional work. I had faced the shame of being the great time thief, I had rejected the 24-hour myth, and I had armed myself with the ultimate defensive question: is this worth my life? But mindset alone is just good intentions. Good intentions don't finish projects. Good intentions don't hit the gym. Good intentions just sit on the couch scrolling, waiting for the feeling to strike. To truly beat the time theft, I needed to go from passive defense to aggressive creation. I needed a system that forced my actions to align with my beliefs. The problem, as I discovered, wasn't just what I was doing, but when I was trying to do the things that actually mattered. When I looked at my weekly time tracking list, I noticed a devastating pattern. My calendar was full, chock full, of low-value obligations, random errands, and the dreaded just checking my email sessions. Now, where were my goals? Where was the time scheduled for my major projects? Where was the slot for learning that new skill I'd been talking about for 6 months? The answer was nowhere. My important goals were relegated to the land of when I have time. I treated them like they were soft, optional activities that would magically slot themselves into the gaps left over by everyone else's priorities. But here's the key realization. You never just have time. Time is not an unclaimed space waiting for your goals to land. Time is a resource that is aggressively pursued by demands, distractions, and other people's agendas. If you don't claim it, it will be claimed for you. It will be claimed by your inbox, your social media feed, or your neighbor who needs a favor. The successful mindset doesn't wait for time to appear. It takes time. I decided to completely flip the script on my scheduling. The first step was simple but crucial. I made a clear, honest list of everything that truly mattered to me. Not the stuff I thought I should care about, but the projects, the relationships, the skills, and the experiences I knew I would genuinely regret not pursuing. Then I looked at my week and asked, where is this stuff on my calendar? The new system was to put the important stuff first. I stopped trying to fit my life around my busy schedule. Instead, I built my schedule around my life. I started treating my goals like non-negotiable meetings. If I wanted to write for an hour, that hour went on the calendar first. It was labeled deep work, Project X. I scheduled time for the gym like it was an appointment with a demanding, expensive personal trainer. I even scheduled time for pure, guilt-free relaxation and reading. Everything else, emails, errands, admin work, minor requests, had to fit around those solid blocks of time. If a new request came in, I didn't check my available time. I checked the time I had already allocated to my priorities. People thought I was crazy. You schedule time to work on your project? Isn't that too rigid? They'd ask. I realized what was truly crazy was hoping that time would magically appear while I filled my days with everyone else's urgency. What's crazy is giving up control of your life and hoping for a miracle. The unexpected magic of this system was the creation of a forced constraint. When I had a 2-hour block for deep work, I couldn't waste the first 30 minutes just checking email or organizing my files. Why? Because I didn't have the luxury. I only had those 2 scheduled hours. The constraint forced me to be hyper-focused and intentional. My procrastination dissolved because I eliminated the wiggle room. The results were immediate and astounding. Within a month, I finished a major side project I'd been working on, that is, avoiding for months. I started working out consistently for the first time in years. I actually learned the first modules of the skill I'd been saying I'd learn someday. The biggest surprise? I wasn't busier. I actually had more free time than before. Why? Because by scheduling the important things and being ruthlessly constrained, I stopped wasting hours on all the garbage that was filling my time previously. I cut out the pointless scrolling because the calendar said, it's time for the gym, and the gym slot was non-negotiable. I wasn't working harder. I was just working smarter. By prioritizing my life onto my calendar. This leads directly to the final, most crucial skill you need to sustain this system. The art of saying no. I had a new mindset. I had a new calendar system. I had reclaimed 5 hours a day from the time thieves. Life was moving forward. Projects were getting finished. I was, dare I say it, thriving. But maintaining this required one final continuous skill. A skill that is often the most uncomfortable and the hardest to master, the art of saying no. The moment you start protecting your time and scheduling your priorities first, the universe will test you. People will notice you're getting things done, and naturally, they will start trying to fill your newly created space with their priorities. The time thieves don't disappear. They just change costumes. They come dressed as colleagues, friends, family, or even just attractive new distractions. This is where the system collapses for most people. They have a good routine for a month. Then a well-meaning friend asks for a quick favor, a committee needs a new volunteer, or a fun, but ultimately low-value, social event pops up. Suddenly, the non-negotiable meeting for your most important goal is pushed back, just for this one time. And then again. And again. The dam breaks. For years, I was a chronic yes person. I was terrified of letting people down, of being seen as rude, or of missing out. So I said yes to things I didn't want to do, yes to events I didn't care about, and yes to extra tasks that didn't move my life forward. The cost wasn't just my time, it was my energy and my happiness. Every yes I gave to someone else's low-value priority was a quiet no to my own high-value priority. And this no to myself didn't just feel bad, it created resentment. I resented the friend who needed the favor. I resented the committee I was on. But the truth was, I should have only resented myself, because I was the one who handed over the time in the first place. They just asked. I said yes. Saying no is not about being a jerk, it's about integrity. It's about ensuring your actions align with your goals. When you say no to a request that doesn't align with your priorities, you are actually saying a more powerful, yes to your scheduled goals, your mental health, and your long-term success. I didn't need to be aggressive, but I needed to be clear. My time is currency mindset helped me here. I realized I didn't need a complicated excuse. I just needed a clear boundary. Here are a few ways to deploy the gentle, powerful no. The pre-commitment no. That sounds interesting, but I've already committed to a high-priority project during that time. This is true. Your commitment is your calendar. The not right now, no with a helpful redirect. I can't do that, but maybe you could try. This maintains the relationship without sacrificing your time. The clear boundary no. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm currently limiting my commitments outside of my core projects. The key is to avoid the rambling explanation, which invites negotiation. Just be firm, polite, and brief. No is a complete sentence. The real payoff from the art of saying no is not just protecting the time you already scheduled, but the shocking amount of time you gain back from the unexpected. When I started saying no to things that didn't align with what I actually wanted, I suddenly had time. Not because I magically gained more hours, but because I stopped hemorrhaging hours to things that didn't deserve them. I cut out most social media. I stopped watching TV shows just because they were on. I ended draining pointless conversations quickly. The result was a profound peace. I wasn't busier, I was just full of purpose. I replaced the frantic, rushed feeling of being busy with the focused energy of being effective. The mindset shift is beautifully simple. Your time is your life. Spend it like it matters. Because it does. You don't need to work harder. You don't need more motivation. You need to stop letting life happen to you and start making life happen to you. Track your time for 1 week. Ask yourself, is this how I want to spend my life? Once you see where your time goes, you can't unsee it. You will start making different choices. You will stop giving your life away and start creating the life you actually want. The power is yours, 24 hours at a time.